when it comes to terrorism, this particular aspect is the direct legacy of 9/11. There's an acceleration moment with 9/11. Al-Qaeda does something that very few people expected, even people following terrorism affairs throughout those years. And the bin Laden sort of character organization had been already seen and followed throughout the 90s. There's an attempt on the World Trade Center in 1993. The CIA sets up an anti-bin Laden unit in 1996. So the character of the organization are known. The US targets Al-Qaeda camps in 1998. This is the Clinton administration following attacks on US embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. So there is already the story playing out. But with 9/11, what you have is a transnational operation on US territory, multi-sites, very professional, militarized. It's a new type of terrorism. And I think from there on, you turn a page and you enter into a new reality of terrorism. It plays out over the next two decades in an accelerated fashion. Al-Qaeda changes itself. It goes into this kind of diversified mode, the so-called franchises, the regionalization. The story ends with the death of bin Laden, so to speak. It starts again. And so what you see is a fast evolution of the very nature of what terrorism has centrally become as a concern for around the world. And so states, societies adapting. And the normalization of it, its sort of presence in the world as the main security issue becomes something that has been the result, the direct result of what Al-Qaeda did. But it is also telling us something else about what we can call kind of the dissemination of terrorism, and therefore its constant repackaging. And I think this is where it connects with the liberal, globalized sort of ethos of the world we live in. Then terrorism is no more than any other commodity, right? And so it no longer remains in the hand of the non-state actor, Al-Qaeda or ISIS, of whoever, who actually projects it. It becomes something malleable. And we see throughout the second half of the story, the 2010s, how gradually the privatization mode becomes the dominant one. And you see first the so-called lone wolves. This is a term that is being used. And then you see these attacks that are gradually appearing more actually in the Western world. You see them first as being led by Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and then by domestic actors. Domestic terrorism becomes the key feature for many of these governments in the UK, in France, and the US. And by the time you get to sort of the capital being sort of assaulted, you have had a complete transformation where that violence had been now normalized politically. Right-wing, left-wing, Islamist, any other kind of ideology, white supremacist, it becomes something of a normalized, expanded presence of terrorism. And I think this is also what 9/11 does. It sort of throws this sort of new type of violence, new in the sense that it's much more professional, much more elaborate, and therefore could be used and has been used, I would say, in this privatized mode.